Standard 5th Subject English Lesson number 13 The Adventures of Gulliver. Dear student, before I start the remaining chapter, I would like to revise the first part. In the first part, dear student, we have studied that after sleeping for 9 hours, when Gulliver woke up, he found himself on a lonely place. He was in the land of the Lilliputians. The Lilliputians means that are very tiny, who were barely 6 inches tall. They were afraid of his giant size and had tied him down to the ground with thousands of strings. Dear student, now we will continue our second part. Here you can see the subparagraph of the chapter. To do was to lie quiet till night. I thought that then my hands being free. Now here the Gulliver thought to be laid down on the ground quietly at the night. I could quickly set free the rest of my body. Now here the Gulliver thought it idea that night he will lay down and make free the rest of his body part. Like that he was thinking. Soon a platform was raised. What is meant by platform? Platform means a level of surface which people or the things can stand. So there one platform has made, and an important looking man gave a long speech. Now one man has came there and he was giving very important speech from his gestures. Now what is meaning by gestures? Gestures mean a movement of the part of the body, especially a hand or the head, to express an idea. This is an idea to express your words to someone by doing action. So here the man was giving important speech to whom? To Gulliver. So here the Gulliver is guessed. I guess that he was trying to tell me that they would not harm me. So here the man who has came to give the speech, they are trying to tell Gulliver that they are not going to harm Gulliver if I did as they told. So here the Lilliputian is saying is they told to Gulliver and Gulliver had followed the things, so they are not going to harm to Gulliver. I too reply with the gestures. Now here by doing action, the Gulliver has replied that yes, he is going to listen to Lilliputians. That I would remain quiet. After that, the Gulliver remained quiet. He not said anything. I also told them that I was hungry. Now, what is meant by hungry? Hungry means feeling or showing the needs of food. So, the Gulliver told to that small Lilliputian that he is feeling hungry. Let's move to the second sub paragraph, dear student. What happened? Gulliver ate a giant meal. Now, here Gulliver was very feeling hungry like a giant meal. So here it has given now Gulliver is going to eat a giant meal because they are giant are eating very much. Here it has compared Gulliver as a giant. At once 100 men climbed up on to my body and marched up to my mouth. Now dear student, what is mean by marched? March means walk in a military manner with a regular measure. So here the thousand of people, small man, has climbed on the Gulliver body and they were carrying a food. The bread was as small as bullets. The bullets which we are using in the gun. So the bread which they are feeding to the Gulliver, they were looking like a bullets. So I ate 2 or 3 loaves. Now what is meant by loaves? Loaves means the fleshy bread baked sandwich which is very tasty. So here the Gulliver ate 2 3 loaves at a time, and cries of surprise rose from the Lilliputians that so he was trying to eat very fast, and spice rose from the Lilliputians. I should eat so quickly and so much. So here the Gulliver eating very fast and quickly The Lilliputians were no longer afraid from me. So here the small man's Lilliputian was not afraid now with Gulliver. They danced upon my body and ran to and fro. Now the small Lilliputians is dancing on Gulliver's body. Now they are not scared from the Gulliver and they are dancing and not afraid from Gulliver. I could have caught at least 40 of them with my hands and throw them down, but I remembered. Now, here the Gulliver is saying, if I want, I can catch 40, at least 40 Lilliputians in my hand, and I can throw them down and hurt them. But I will not do like this because I know my promise. What promise I have done, I have remember that. Let's move to the next paragraph, dear student. My promise to remain quiet. Indeed, I was surprised at their bravery, for I must have seemed the greatest giant in the world. Now, here the Gulliver is saying that he was remember his promise, and that's why he was quiet, but he was surprised. Surprise means feeling surprised for a certain action which is done suddenly. So he was very surprised on the Lilliputians' bravery because they have seen the greatest giant in the world. Then also they are not afraid with Gulliver. Later, I was taken to the city where the king lived. Now, here the Gulliver is taken to the city where that world king was living. In that place, the king was there where the Gulliver is going to take. A great cart was made by joining many carts. Now, here the cart, one type of vehicle, was made for this Gulliver who is going to join many carts. 900 men worked for 3 hours to put me onto the cart, which was drawn by 1500 of the king's finest horses. Now, here it's saying that it has taken 3 hours to 900 men to work for make cart in which I was to go to that city where the king was living, and for that it has taken 1500 of the king finance horses. The city was just half a mile away, but the journey took almost a full day. So the city was not so long, but because of my heavy weight, because he was very big, the journey took almost a full day. Let's move to the next paragraph, dear student. What happened? How the Gulliver reached to the city? Let's see. The king came out to meet me. He came near and looked at me. Now the king of that country has came out to meet Gulliver to see how he is looking. But it was not thought safe for him to climb up on me. So here the king thought that it is not safe to climb on this Gulliver. So he was saying it is not safe to climb on Gulliver. At the place where the cart stopped, there was an old church. This place where this cart, the vehicle has stopped, so there was a one old church. It was the largest building in the whole country, and here it has mentioned that this church is the very largest building, very bigger building in the whole world. For certain reason, it had not been used as a church for many years. Due to some reason, the church was not used as a church for many years, so it was closed for many years. It had now been made ready for me to use as my house. So this church was given to this Gulliver to use as for his house. So it was making ready for this Gulliver. The great door on the north was 4 feet high and 2 feet wide. Now, what is meant by wide? A great or more than average. So, it was 4 feet height and 2 feet wide. So, let's move further, dear student. could go into it by going down on my hand. So it was going down by using his hand. One of my feet was set in a great ring on the end of many strong strings. So one of the feet was tied with the ring of strong strings, and it was tied so tightly so that I could not get away, but could only walk some distance outside my door. The country outside looked like a garden. So one of his feet was tied with one strong string ring, and it was tied so tightly that he could not go away, and he can just walk only few distance from his area. And here it Gulliver is saying that when he is looking outside the door, the country look like a garden. So he has compared the country that is looking like a garden. After some day, the king and his people were convinced. Now, what is mean by convinced, dear student? Convinced means completely certain about something. So they were convinced that now he is not going to harm or hurt anyone. So they were very confident. Now he is not going to harm. So they were very convinced that I would not harm them. So after I agree to keep certain order of the king, I was allowed to move around. So after few days, he have granted a permission that he can move around to a certain area. Let's see further, dear student, what happened. Gulliver visit the city and the queen. Now Gulliver is going to visit the city and meet to the queen. As soon as I was set free, I asked if I might see the city. As soon the Gulliver got free, so he has taken the permission that whether he can see the city of that country. The king was pleased to let me do this. So he was pleased. He requested to the king that please let me see the city. Orders were given to all the people to remain in their houses. So the king has given permission, and it was ordered to all the city members of that city to remain at their home only. I then stepped over the wall and went very carefully. So he was stepped over the wall and he was walking very carefully that other may not got hurt. Along the two largest streets, all the windows were full of faces looking out at me. So all the country of that city, while removing the faces outside the window and carefully looking to this Gulliver very carefully, and large number of people were standing, and mostly the people were standing and looking to this Gulliver. Let's see further, dear children, what happened next. On the tops of the houses, the king's house was just at the place where two great streets met. So here the top of the house, the king was house was also there, where two great streets, where two road were meet. There was a beautiful garden on all the side of it. So there was, where the king house was there, beside that there was a beautiful garden all side of it. Lying down in the garden, I put my eyes to the windows. So when Gulliver was lying down in the garden, so he looked inside the window. The room inside were very beautiful. So when he looked inside the window, so what he saw, the room was very beautiful. In one room, I saw the queen and some of the young princes. And when Gulliver saw inside the window, so he saw the queen and some young princes. They were greatly pleased. Now, what is mean by pleased, dear student? Please mean feeling or showing pleasure and satisfaction, especially at an event or a situation. So here they were greatly pleased by my visit. So the princess and the queen were very pleased that the Gulliver has visited to their city. So, dear student, hope you all understood this beautiful story. Thank you.